the job reports getting cooked? Are they just manipulated and screwed over with? Because how did we have to revise the jobs report down 250,000 jobs? 250,000. Like, we're not saying like 5%, 10%, 20%, that's fine, but how did we lose 250,000 jobs, and what does that mean? So that's I actually have a reason why. So okay, at first I was confused as heck, right? Everyone's confused as heck. How did we revise down that much? Because honestly, the July jobs report, that wasn't the bad part. Yeah, it did miss, but what was really scary is the May and June job reports. They were revised down 250,000. I said that a bajillion times. 250,000 jobs. How do we miss that much? Okay, so I'm just gonna cut straight to the point. So I am a software engineer by trade, right? And then I was applying to a job, and they said that this job, they said that they were mass hiring because specifically that company no longer wanted to deal with H-1B visas. So basically what they're doing is they're converting all their H-1B visa contractors, right? Because they can't really be actual full-time employees unless they have sponsorship, right? Or unless they're actually citizens, right? So those people, they're no longer, like, this company, I don't know if I can say the actual company, but like, it's a big company. It's a big company, right? So they said they don't want to deal with sponsorships anymore because of what the administration is doing and the proposed changes, which were basically, instead of being a lottery system, right, where you just kind of everyone has an equal chance, now it's based, and now Trump wants to make it based off of purely salary alone, right? So like we only keep the high income H-1B visas, or we only keep the high income workers, right, and we ship off everyone else. The problem with that is, okay, so imagine, right, if you're a company and then first you think that, okay, well, all these H-1B visa holders, they're part of our workforce, right, and then we're gonna open new jobs to hire more people. Either they can be either citizens and be full-time, or they can be contractors or whatever, right? But we're just gonna hire more people on top of this H-1B visa. Now this company is saying, okay, we don't want to deal with these H-1B visas, so we can't even open new jobs because we have to backfill the people that we're gonna fire, because the people that we're gonna fire are no longer, we're not gonna accept H-1B visa. We're not gonna like even deal with this process anymore. So I think what's happening is, earlier in the year, before July, right? Because July, I think late July is when Trump started talking about, when he gave the idea that, maybe he switched the idea where he said, okay, so we want to switch the lottery system for H-1B visas to being a however, like, whoever has the highest salary, right? And you have to realize that H-1B visas, it's basically like semi indentured servitude, because you're basically holding this carrot on a stick, which is citizenship or like H-1B visa, while you're kind of using them as cheaper labor, because these people are almost forced to work for your sponsorship. They're forced to work for that visa so that they can stay in America. But the moment you remove that, sorry, it's gonna be loud, but the moment you remove this carrot on the stick, and these companies are no longer even thinking about sponsoring these people, or like dealing with the hassle, then all those people are going to go bye-bye. They're going to go back to their home country. And this isn't even just like, it didn't even happen, right? But it's the threat of it happening, and companies have to prepare for it, right? So when you remove all these people, this entire workforce out of the company, and this is only one company, right? I'm assuming this is happening on a grand scale, on like multiple companies, right? This is a big company, right? Anyways, so it employs a lot of jobs. But when those jobs that the H-1B, like, and the immigrants are holding is now vacant. So before you did open all these jobs, right? Before you did assume that all these positions would be open. But now you're like, oh, we can't even think about hiring new job positions. We have to think about backfilling our old job positions that were just vacated, right? And I think that's why. I think that's why there's this revision, because everyone and their mom is like, how the hell did you mess up that much? 250,000 jobs. I think that's the exact reason why. Um, are people getting, like, are actual citizens getting fired? I mean, they might be, but I do think that we really have to worry about inflation, right? Jerome Powell, he is, yeah, you could say, okay, I really hope this isn't Trump's mentality, because if Trump is thinking, okay, if I can lower the workforce, then Powell will think that the economy is going to poo-poo. If Powell thinks the economy is going to poo-poo, then he'll lower rates. The problem with that is, if you lower the workforce by kicking out all these people, right, and then you basically have services inflation, right? Because think about the pandemic. One of the reasons why we had inflation was services, right? Throughout 2000, I think it was like 22, Powell was like, the only sticky part of inflation is services, right? And when you kick out half the freaking population, not half the population obviously, but like a big portion of the population, then jobs, they need to hire people, right? Like, companies have to hire people. You can't just run on nothing, right? You could say AI is gonna like remove a lot of jobs, but it's not gonna remove all the jobs, right? And it's not like, dude, if I'm worried for both an economic downturn at this point, because like when you close all these job positions, right? Companies don't have enough innovative power because there's not enough people working there. So they're not going to grow as much. The economy's not going to grow as much because there's not as much demand for anything, right? Because think about it, like if all these people lose jobs or all these people stop working, they all have, like, part of a large population leaves the entire country. Then you have the services jobs. They're gonna, like, all these things are gonna like go down, right? So the economy's gonna stop growing as quickly, or stop growing at all, or even shrink, which would be horrible. In the meantime, companies are like scrambling for workers because you just removed half like the workable population that it was super cheap, right? I mean, obviously it's not super cheap, but they're cheaper than actual citizens, right? Because they're almost forced to work for you at any rate, as long as they can get someone to sponsor them, right? Until they get whatever, like, permanent residency. So I don't know what's gonna happen, but maybe I don't know. Maybe it'll turn out well. Maybe like the jobs decrease and then like the economic downturn, like the economic like slowdown, will kind of match, and then we don't really hit anything too hard. But that's just where my mind is right now, and that's what I think the jobs report 2 weeks ago now, I think, reflects. All right, peace, bye.